Hi, I'm Connie from St. Mark's, and I'm going to read you the story of The Old Man by Sarah and Claude Dubois. And this is a story about this little girl who lives in a home and is ready to go to school one day. And this man, who's an old man, who the book is named after, and there he is in a blanket. I'm noticing that the weather must be cold in this story because she's got on a hat and a scarf and a warm coat, and he's bundled in a blanket. Let's find out what happens in this story. Well, the sun is rising over the town. Wake up, everyone. It's time to go to school. So there's the little girl, and she's waking up out of her bed. So cozy. So she lives in a house, gets all bundled up and ready to go outside. And when she's outside, do you know what she sees? Here she is outside. She sees the old man. It's time for the old man to get up too. What do you notice about where he is sleeping? That doesn't look like a bed. That looks like the ground. And they're outside. Looks like maybe he doesn't have a home and a bed to sleep in. His blanket is soaking. It's been a cold night. The old man is freezing. He'd love a cup of coffee. But he doesn't have one, so he walks around the town to warm up and realizes that he is hungry. So he finds a little food and he shares it with this hungry kitty. And he realizes how tired he is. It's not very comfortable to sleep on the ground, so he decides to take a nap outside in the park. And look who came and followed him, that little kitty. And as he's falling asleep and starting to doze, before he falls asleep and starts to doze, he sees the people walking by and the strollers, and he even sees a mail carrier on a bike. And he remembers that he used to be a mail carrier when he was younger. Well, as he's trying to sleep, the police officers tell him this is not a place for you to sleep and ask him to move along. So he gathers his few belongings and he walks. He wishes he could go in the stores, but it's too early in the morning. The stores are closed. So he decides to go to the shelter to find something to eat. Now, a shelter is a place where people can go who don't have homes or who don't have enough money for food, and they can go and sleep there sometimes or have a meal without having to pay money. So there are the people who need some food. And this old man, he can hear his tummy grumbling. He's so hungry. And the person at the front desk that welcomes everybody to the shelter asks him his name. And guess what? He can't remember his name. And I think he might feel a little embarrassed. So he turns away and he decides not to get food at the shelter. Instead, he gets on a bus and rides through the city. It's warm on the bus and he falls asleep. And while he's on the bus, other people start getting on the bus too, and they notice him sleeping. And people are staring, and he hears some noises and wakes up. Oh, that might be that little girl. She sees him. The bus stops, and there's the little girl. She gets off, and she gets a sandwich from her mother. And she sees him again. There's the old man. Well, the old man and the girl both end up at the park. He feels so lonely and so thirsty. He gets a drink of water from the water fountain and sits down And takes off his shoes. It feels so good to take off his shoes and wiggle his toes. But guess who sees him? The little girl. And they look at each other. And she holds her sandwich out and asks, "Want some?" "Do you want my sandwich?" she asks. And then you know what she says? "You're funny. You look like a teddy bear." The little girl smiles. Well, it is the best sandwich in the whole world. He eats it up. And that evening, the old man goes back to the shelter, and this time he has a smile inside. "Your name, please?" He's back at that front desk where the woman is asking his name. Do you know what he says? "Teddy." He says Teddy. She called him a teddy bear, and he decided to take that for his name. And inside is food, some warm food. Maybe that's some soup to warm up all the people who have been outside all day cold. And these are all the people that needed some food today, who didn't have the money to buy their own dinner, or maybe didn't have a home. And they're all enjoying a meal together. And that is the story of the old man that I got from our library. So I'm going to give it back soon in case you want to check it out and read this story with your family. And what I noticed about this book was how so many people didn't look at him or talk to him. He felt very lonely. But this little girl simply smiled and shared a little thought, and that made such a difference to him. It made him feel good inside. So sometimes that happens when people are living on the street or living in a shelter, and it's hard to know what to do to help. And simply a smile can be a way to show that person that they have value and that they're important too. So thanks for reading this story with me. Bye-bye.